Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop for the Arsenal versus Liverpool pregame podcast. As always, I'm your host, Steven, joined by my brother, Andrew, and Mahomie. And today we have two very special guests for this big game. Joining us we have Dave O, and you can find him on Twitter at DaveOCCop, and his brother, who is now behind enemy lines, the Arsenal fan. His name is Mark, and you can find him on Twitter at Berg Henry Vieira. Dave and Mark, thanks so much for joining you guys. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. Thanks so much for having us on. Appreciate it.
Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Dave, we've been big fans of you and all the stuff you post on Twitter, and super excited to get to know your brother a little bit, even though he's an Arsenal fan. We'll let that slide. But before we get into the game, one thing I just wanted to do is it's pretty ridiculous after the last game for Liverpool against Lincoln City to win 7-2 and have a 19-year-old get the abuse that he's been getting online. I mean, the fact that a kid who's 19 with a bright future has to black out his Twitter page because of all the hate that he's been getting from a lot of mostly stupid Liverpool fans who may either are plastic or just aren't true fans who don't believe in you never walk alone. We definitely do not condone that, and if you're one of those people, please go ahead and unsubscribe and unfollow us because we don't want anything to do with you. That's not the Liverpool way. This kid's going to be a stud, and the last thing he needs is negativity. If anything, he needs more positivity from us, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to get too much into it because those people are not worth our time at all. That being said, I just got a notification Chelsea's down 3-0 to West Brom, so that's pretty solid. But let's get right into the game here with Arsenal versus Liverpool. It's going to be a huge match. Arsenal, the winners of the last two matches against Liverpool. But let's talk about some of the key matchups, things you guys are looking for, some of the things you guys are going to keep an eye out for in this game. I'm going to go with the guy behind enemy lines here, Mark. As an Arsenal fan, what are some of the things that you're going to be keeping an eye on from your perspective in this game?
I suppose number one thing I'm intrigued to see how Arteta deals with a kind of better Liverpool, because the last two games there's caveats to the victories. Like the first game it was kind of the post-title celebration hangover, and then the Community Shield is the Community Shield. It's kind of a glorified friendly, but it was we kind of got away with it the first game of the Community Shield. We were more competitive, but we still won on penalties. So I'm definitely intrigued to see some one-on-one matchups like Maitland-Niles on Salah, things like that, because he did really well against Mahrez in the FA Cup, and I just want to see how he does against another left-footed, right-sided attacker. And don't know if 100% of he'll play. He might play Saka, but I feel like away from home he usually goes with Maitland-Niles as the kind of stopper. So yeah, that would be the big thing.
Yeah, I like that call. Maitland-Niles has been an interesting name for me. I was really surprised to see when he was being linked to Wolves because I think he has a really bright future, and I think that there's really no reason why he shouldn't be getting some significant minutes for Arsenal.
Exactly.
So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. But Dave, over to you. As a Liverpool fan, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking for in this game?
I'm looking forward to Van Dyke against Aubameyang, of course. I think that's going to be an exciting matchup. But I think Van Dyke plays the better players to play against him. He plays better. He seems to relish the challenge of maybe a guy with a high profile, good scoring record. He seems to take his game to another level when he's playing against strikers like that. And Aubameyang is a very good striker. He's a very good goal scorer. He can score from situations that don't look like they're real or big chances. But I think that Van Dijk will have enough in his repertoire to deal with him. Also, I think Thiago and Xhaka in the middle of the field will be interesting. I think that Xhaka will probably struggle against Thiago because he doesn't have the awareness or the vision in tight spaces like Thiago does, and I think that will be an area where Liverpool will be able to exploit. And I think that if Mane is running one-on-one against Rob Holding in space, or he's put in behind, I think that he's going to cause Arsenal a lot of trouble. But Arsenal are playing well, for sure that they're playing well. They're playing this tiki-taka style. It's like they've gone back to the Barcelona of 10 years ago, playing from out the back, and they're sticking to that game. They're not playing many long balls. They're trying to play short passes and go the unit. And it's interesting because Liverpool seems to mix it up. You've seen Mane's chance when Christensen was sent off. It's a really direct long ball from Henderson in over the top and to put Mane through, and that really changed the game. So It'll be interesting, but I think Aubameyang and Van Dijk will be the matchup that I'm looking forward to most.
I kind of agree. The player I had circled for this match was Aubameyang as well, because the last couple of times, not the last two games, but before that, he's kind of disappeared against Liverpool. There's been times where he's only touched the ball like 2 or 3 times and a half, and that's always when he was playing up top as a striker. So he has had a lot of success when he's been out on the wing. So I'm also kind of thinking maybe they line him up on the left wing, because it's a little bit of a better matchup for him against Trent, and then potentially Gomez / Fabinho, whoever's at that center back spot. But no, Wahome, over to you. I know that this is a game that you've been itching to play. After Arsenal's beating us twice in a row. So, what are your thoughts coming in? What are you hoping for to see on Monday?
Well, I just think, obviously, there's been a lot of this thing of where a lot of Arsenal fans are saying Arteta's got the beating of Klopp. I think those 2 wins have put in perspective. The 2-1 at Arsenal, if you look at the stats of that game, Liverpool should have won 5 or 6-0. We actually battered Arsenal. And it was only from 2 errors, uncharacteristic errors from Van Dijk and Alisson, we lost that game. And we were just shocking. And we want to put it down to the after effects of winning the league title, because after that, our form in most of those times was just shocking. So I think that needs to be put in context. And I think the Community Shield, that's just a glorified friendly, and it was. We started that game probably wrong with wrong formation, and it was only until when we moved to the 4-2-3-1 formation, they actually started looking better and causing Arsenal problems. Otherwise, I don't really think for either team that the Community Shield should be taking anything as a bit of salt in terms of the performance, because like it says, it's a glorified friendly. I think in the game, I think Arsenal set up as they always do against us in the last 2 games. They'll play the midfield and try and block our fullbacks. I'm just interested in this game to see, with Thiago being there, which is a big difference, because before Arsenal blocking the wings worked because we had no creativity in the middle, really. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking now with Thiago, I'm curious to see how Arsenal deal with that, because if they block the wings, it's going to allow Thiago so much space in the middle of the park. But if they block Thiago, it's going to allow the fullback space. So I'm curious to see how that pans out. And I think overall it's going to be, I think Arsenal very much improved. I think Arteta's doing a lot of good work at Arsenal. And I like how he's got them organised. He's got them playing well, and they have got a good record away to the big teams. Mm-hmm. They did beat Man City. I think they beat Chelsea or one of those other ones. Yeah, I think there's one on the way. So they've got a good record. So I don't think it's going to be anything like in the past where it's a 5 or 6-0 win or one of those ones crazy at all. I think those days are over. But I think I'll be disappointed if we don't win this game, to be honest. With Thiago there, with Jota, with the players he brought in, I'll be disappointed. And so for me, I think we should be winning this game.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree, and that's a good point. And actually, I want to ask you about that, Mark. How do you think Arsenal is going to line up against us? Do you think they're going to try and go with more of a blocking the wings type of a play, or now that we have Thiago, are you going to be relying on your center mids a lot more to control the game? What are your thoughts on the Arsenal side of things?
Yeah, well, what Wahome said was really interesting, because I remember 2 seasons ago when Firmino got that hat trick at Anfield, and he tore Mustafi and Socrates a new one, Liverpool just completely tore us apart through the middle. And then last season at Anfield, when we had Emery in charge, we went for this kind of 4-diamond-2 formation where we really tried to block up the middle because we were terrified of Firmino, but then we just got torn apart on the wings by Trent and Robertson. So it was we couldn't do anything for it. But I think there's some evidence to suggest the back 3 is right now what works for Arsenal, and Arteta will stick with it because it's just what we've been getting with results with. It's kind of a 4-3-3 when we have the ball, and as soon as we're dispossessed, we morph into 3-4-3 or kind of a 5-4-1. Klopp said earlier in the week it's kind of a 5-4-1. But I think he'll probably try to block up with Maitland-Niles anyway on the left wing back. He'll definitely try and just man-mark Salah. He's just going to follow Salah around the whole game. And as well with Trent, the way Trent pushes on, Tierney, in the Community Shield anyway, Tierney went for a good few long balls over to Aubameyang because Trent left a lot of space. And that's kind of one weakness that I can think of off the top of my head at Liverpool that you would go for straight away is Aubameyang on the left. But in terms of blocking, it's Liverpool at Anfield, so there's not a whole amount you can do to prevent the attack. But I think they will block up the fullbacks as much as they can. Because that's the main source of pain.
For me, I think this is this all comes down to an old Mike Tyson quote. He said, "Everybody has a game plan until they get hit in the face." So I think with Thiago in there, I think that he's just going to open up the play so much. And if we get an early goal, that 5-4-1 on the defensive block is just going to go out the window. So I think if we get one goal, Arteta's going to have to let Arsenal come out, and that's when we're really, really dangerous. So I think if we get that early goal, it's going to be a tough day for Arsenal.
Yeah. I think Arteta's definitely going to try and get through the first half with just not concede, and then see what can happen in the second half.
But having said that, I'm curious, Mark, from your standpoint, do you think that Aubameyang would play in the middle, maybe put Willian on the left and Pepe on the right, just to add much speed to that front three?
Well, it's kind of a thing Arsenal fans have been asking for a long since Arteta came in, but it's just never happened, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think he's going to keep, and his goal scoring rate is actually a little bit better if you look at the stats from the left. It's weird, you wouldn't think it, but I think he's going to keep him on the left. He could play Pepe as well on the right, because I remember even though we lost 3-1 in the game at Anfield, Pepe did play really well. He missed some big chances, but he got through a lot. But that was purely on counter-attacking. It was just kind of him versus Van Dyke and Robertson.
Yep.
But I feel like it'll be probably Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang front three. And he'll just probably do what worked with the Community Shield and to have Aubameyang try to target Trent as much as he can. But and the Aubameyang and Van Dyke as well, it's always interesting to see. There's two quality players in that position. But
yeah, it's just going to be interesting to watch because Klopp has a lot of respect for Arteta, and to be honest, I think most of us have a lot of respect for Arteta. I mean, he pretty much has the same exact squad that Emery had, and they look like the Arsenal of old under Wenger. It's completely polar opposites. It's the return of Arsenal football, and I'm expecting a close game, and that's one of the things I'm going to keep an eye out for is the halftime adjustments, and when somebody scores, what are the coaches going to do? Are they going to make any adjustments? And I think it's going to be a really nice chess match between the two. And, just some of the comments that, the Klopp had, Mikel Arteta has shown in a pretty short period of time that he's an exceptional football manager. You can see the balance between defense and offense is really good. They have really good organization. And I think that's the biggest thing is the organization and the discipline this team has. I mean, last year under Emery, it was like, first of all, they had no mental strength. The moment they got down, pretty much the game was over, and their back line was just so undisciplined. I mean, I just remember laughing at Socrates and whoever else was playing center back. It was an absolute joke, and just a matter of a few months, Arteta's completely turned around that program and even got Aubameyang to sign a long-term extension. So that's one of the things I'm keeping an eye on.
I think
Go ahead.
I think that you can see the style of play with Arsenal completely changing under Arteta, and if you compare that to Manchester United, for example, it's hard to pinpoint an exact style of play that they play.
Exactly.
Whereas Arteta, they go as a unit, they come back as a unit. But I think, they played against Fulham and West Ham. It's a lot different to playing against Liverpool's press. If Liverpool, they want to play out the goalkeeper out 3 or 4 yard pass to Holding or to Bellerin, try to take it back, try to split the midfield. But we'll see how they do against Liverpool's press. They're two different teams, Fulham and West Ham. I think Jordan Henderson's going to be a big loss for Liverpool in that sense with the high press and putting immediate pressure on people coming out from the back. But I think then the benefit of Thiago going in instead of him means that he can open the defence with the pass. He takes riskier passes, and Henderson has been very, very good player for the last couple of years, and actually his passing has been quite good actually. But Thiago's that little bit better, he seems to be able to pick a pass, or he has a bit more confidence to thread a striker through. So Arsenal's game plan, it's great, but when you're coming against a team like Liverpool, probably up there with Bayern now is the best pressing team in the world. It'll be interesting to see if they have the technical ability with Holding and Xhaka to work it out quick at speed. But I think that they're going to struggle against Liverpool's press if they try to play that game. They're not playing many long balls. They're just looking at the stats. Liverpool are playing about 33% more long balls in their game than Arsenal. So Arsenal are sticking to that pattern of short snappy passes, hopefully open up the defence. But Liverpool, they can mix it up. And I think Arsenal will struggle with that. And if the ball breaks down and Liverpool put in, Salah's put in over the top, Mane, Firmino obviously is very, very good with the ball to feet. He doesn't possess the same kind of pace going in behind the defender on the last shoulder. But I think Arsenal are going to struggle trying to play their game against Liverpool, because if they can play that game and they're successful, they'll go a long way. Because Liverpool are a different animal to Fulham and West Ham.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up, because one of the things that I feel like every game, there's only two questions you can really ask about Liverpool, and that's who's going to partner Van Dyke, and then what's the midfield three going to be. So, Dave, if especially playing against a team like Arsenal who likes to try to possess, what would be your go-to midfield three, knowing that Henderson's not available?
Well, you want to get. For me, I think that it's just going to be a straight swap with Thiago in for Henderson. I know that Gomez is obviously back training in a couple of days. He may or may not starting, but I think Fabinho was excellent last week, and he also has that passing ability in his arsenal. Excuse the pun, but if you can get Fabinho, Keita, Wijnaldum, and Thiago on the field at one time, that's incredible quartet of players. I know that Fabinho will be playing deeper as a centre half. His job won't be to open up defences as much, but his short, snappy passing can also punish Arsenal. I think that it's unreal, really, that Fabinho to get man of the match, staying out of position, just shows how probably underrated he is. He's an incredible buy for Liverpool. Sometimes he doesn't get the glory because he's not on the goal scoring sheet as much as some players, but I think he's just going to be straight swap. I think he's like Fabinho and he'll get Thiago in.
Really, that's why.
And that would be my partnership for this weekend. Anyway, I don't know what you guys think.
I kind of agree with you. To be honest, I would rather not rush Gomez back, even if it's more of a minor knock. I just, with his injury history, I would just rather give him the extra week. And Fabinho has shown that he's a reliable center back, and he's just good at snuffing out danger. He may not have the pace, but especially having another ball player at center back who can go hit the same balls that Van Dyke can, I think that's just going to, again, just keep Arsenal on their toes. And when Thiago came in the second half, he made. We saw the Netherlands version of Gini Wijnaldum, and even Keita at times played a lot better. So I would love to see Thiago in that six and allow either Wijnaldum and Keita to be more of a box-to-box than the attacking guys, because that's deadly. It just seemed like when he was in the sixth role, every single defender on Liverpool, their first job was, I'm taking one touch and putting it to Thiago's feet. This guy is calm, cool, and collected. But, homie, what are your thoughts? What would be your ideal midfield against this Arsenal team, and who would your partnership be with Van Dijk?
I'd still stick with Fabinho, because I'm not sure how. I know Gomez is just back, but how fit is he going to be realistically? I'd stick with Fabinho and Van Dijk. I think Fabinho also has the ability to be able to experience of playing right back, so he has that experience of then being able to, if he gets called out to the right-hand side, he's played the counter times for Brazil. So he will be able to cover Trent much better than I think. Not that saying Gomez couldn't, but I just feel like Gomez needs some time out, because he hasn't been playing that well before his injury. So I think he just some time on the bench. In midfield, I'd probably go for, Thiago 6, then Junior and Keita. I think for this game, because of how Arsenal play, we're going to need people who, obviously Henderson's a massive miss, but I think we're going to need Keita's ability to win the ball back, his ability to make recoveries and interceptions. And I think, and obviously because Thiago can do that as well, I think that they will be key in terms of they can move the ball quickly. Because I think in the Community Shield, one of the issues we had in the second half, I feel, was we moved the ball too slowly. We moved to the park, and it was so easy for Arsenal to get banks or 2 banks or 4, and that's why we weren't going anywhere. We were struggling to create anything. I think Keita and Thiago just move the ball faster, and when you move the ball faster, it allows more greater penetration. I think that's what we'll need to break down Arsenal. I agree with Mark saying I think Arsenal will look to not concede in the first 45 minutes, and in the second half they'll look to try and nick a goal and win in that way. So I think we need people who can move the ball faster in the middle of the park. I do like the idea of seeing a Genie of the Netherlands. So I think like allowing him to get more forward, hopefully that he can then get a goal. I think as well, like for me, I think what Thiago does, he brings out the best in Bobby Firmino. And I think that's what he'll allow. He'll allow Bobby not to have to drop so deep and have to try and be the creator. So I feel like Bobby being able to play high up the pitch, he's always due a goal against Arsenal. He loves a goal at Anfield against Arsenal. So I feel that he's the one to watch this on Monday, because I think Arsenal focus on Mane and Salah. How do you stop them two? And then it's how do they deal with Bobby? Because will their centre backs come out and try and stop Bobby, or will they just drop off? And I think he's going to be like the key puzzle. So I'm backing him to get a goal. But I think it's going to be an interesting tactical battle. But I think Liverpool's priority, they need to score first. They need to get an early goal to open up the game.
I agree.
Otherwise, they don't want it going in. I mean, not to say we can't score later on, but they don't want it going in like. I think it's going to be very similar to the Chelsea game, in the sense that.
Yeah, I mean, like both teams are going to try to not make a mistake early. They're going to kind of play a little bit conservative, that type of a thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and I think Liverpool dominate possession because like we did from the first off. In before Chelsea went down to 10 men, we were dominating possession. Chelsea they're just planning counter attack because they sat so deep. So I think it's going to be the same kind of similar setup. Well, we're going to Arsenal play deep how Chelsea did and try and counter attack using Aubameyang, and then for us, obviously, we scored that goal, the first goal. Well, the Mane's Christian sending off came from us winning the goalkeeper, winning the ball back, and then playing a long ball downfield. They're playing the ball to Henderson. He played long downfield to Mane.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of similar thing will happen again, because we are very good at creating attacks from set pieces and corners, opposition corners. So I think it's going to be a goal like that. I think there'll be a counter-attacking goal from us, kind of thing, or a set piece goal. I'm not sure how strong Arsenal now are with set pieces. Because I don't think they had issues with all that last season, so I don't know how strong they are. I'm not fully convinced on Leno, how he is with dealing with crosses and stuff. So
yeah, I think our lineup really just comes down to how Klopp wants to utilize Thiago. I mean, he's had a week and a half, almost 2 weeks now, with the team. Obviously, Bayern does play similarly when they're without the ball, but does Klopp want to utilize him as a 6? I mean, I just think in a big game like this, Klopp always goes with a reliable midfield. So I think Fabinho will be in that midfield with Thiago. Thiago will provide that creative flair in the midfield, and I think he goes with Gini Wijnaldum. Unfortunately for me, I think that Thiago's signing spells bad news for Naby Keita, because I don't think Naby Keita is going to be playing in the big games anymore. I think he missed out on his opportunity for that. I think he'll play against teams with a low block, because he does provide that extra creative flair along with Thiago. But Thiago just provides so much on the pitch. 1-2 touch passes. He can beat a man if he wants to. He's pretty good defensively. So I think Gomez slides back in defensively, but we need that solid 6 like Fabinho brings every single game. So I think he slides back in there.
That's a good point. Mark, I wanted to ask you, because Wahome brought up a good point there. I get mixed. Like I've seen mixed reviews like on social media about Leno especially, and just how people portray him. What are your thoughts with him between the posts? Are you more comfortable with someone like that long term, or do you think somebody else needs to go in there? And how is he doing with? Because I know he's coming back from injury. How is he doing with balls being whipped in and that sort of a thing? Is that a weakness of his?
Yeah, it was kind of a strange problem to have. It's not a problem Arsenal are used to having 2 really good goalkeepers, because when Leno got injured, Emi Martinez came in and played like really, really well. But I think people forgot before Leno's injury, he was our player of the season, along with Aubameyang, arguably. We could have been in the relegation zone at Christmas if not for Leno. Some of the saves he made in huge games. He made like 2 high-profile errors this year, both against Chelsea, and we lost at the Emirates because of it. But there was only errors this year. But of course, they're going to live in the memory because they're errors. But he doesn't make me as comfortable as Martinez does when the ball comes into the box. Martinez had this kind of thing where he'd just suffocate his penalty area, and he would always get to the ball first, especially for corners. And he's physically just a bigger man. He's like 6'5", and he's more physically imposing than Leno.
Definitely.
He's just better at catching the ball. But Leno is a little bit better at playing out from the back, and it indicates that Arteta wants that more than he wants the security. He wants someone who can initiate the movement. And we signed a backup goalkeeper there from Iceland, who's apparently really good at playing out from the back, even though he's had bad reviews from France. So it just shows that's what he's prioritizing at the moment. And you can't have two great goalkeepers, so you can't have a great goalkeeper on the bench and a great goalkeeper on the team. So we had to sell Martinez and got 20 million for him. And I think it was
pretty solid.
It was you could make an argument for keeping Martinez as well, but we'd invested more in Leno long term. We paid more money for him. His contract is longer. It just made more sense to keep Leno. But I do understand the criticisms of him, that he can look a little bit dodgy when coming up for balls in the box, especially against West Ham the last game. The injury I think he's recovered from. I think there was talk that it was misdiagnosed, that he was initially thought to be out till like somewhere towards Christmas, and then towards like August time they realized the injury was not that bad. So I think that's as well what made them make the decision to sell Martinez, that they trusted Leno to be back fully fit, and he looks okay injury wise. But yeah, I like Leno, but I love Martinez as well. He saved a penalty on his Aston Villa debut, so that kind of hurt to see that straight away. Arsenal keepers never save penalties, and as soon as he goes to another club, he saves a penalty in his first game. So, but I think we're okay with Leno. I think our biggest issue is midfield. We need to get that sorted out before October 5th or 6th, whenever the deadline is.
It's strong linked to that IO, aren't you?
Yeah, he'd be a great get for you guys. I mean, we talked about him on this podcast numerous times about how great he'd be in a Liverpool red shirt. But when you think about what Arsenal needs, I mean, especially when you're not playing Ozil, you need that creative guy behind your front three, and he'd be quite the coup for you guys. I mean, Mark, first of all, what are your thoughts on that? It sounds like personal terms are agreed to, just trying to get the the fee in there.
Yeah.
What would he unlock for you guys?
I think he's definitely the kind of profile we've needed in midfield for a while. Just his age as well, and the fact he scores goals, he gets assists, he plays kind of higher up the pitch in a 4-3-3. And I think if we're going to play big boy football and eventually get into the Champions League, we're going to eventually have to get rid of the back three and start playing 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. And I think that's what he unlocks for us if we get that. I would really like to see a midfield of Xhaka, Ceballos, and Aouar, just slightly higher than the two of them. I think that could be really nice to see. Apparently the asking price is 60 million. Apparently Arsenal have offered 40 million plus 10 in add-ons, and that might be enough. Well, we've a while to wait yet. But yeah, that'll be an amazing signing. He was brilliant in the Champions League against Juventus and Man City, and that's the highest level he can play against. So I think he's perfect for us.
Yeah, he's a talent, but I mean the other guy that you've been linked to too, I think would be quite the coup too. Is Partey from from Atletico. Yeah, I think he'd slide right in there too. I mean, Ceballos, he offers a lot, but I just think if you start Partey and then you have Xhaka and Aouar, I mean that's a pretty nice midfield three there.
Yeah, that one looked hopeful at the start of the window. Now it's looking a bit less likely, because they apparently just want the release clause, no further negotiations. And they want Lucas Torreira from Arsenal, which is funny because they won't negotiate with us for Partey, but they want one of our midfielders. But if we got both, that would be a game changer. I don't see us getting both. I think it's one or the other. I think at the moment more likely Aouar. If I had to pick between the two, I would pick Aouar just because of his age profile.
Yep.
Partey is the same price and he's 5 years older. And he actually doesn't contribute as much goals and assists, but he's brilliant defensively. So I think if we got Partey and not Aouar, great as well, but both would be a game changer. But I don't know how likely that is.
Yeah, I think they're two different players. But I thought that Partey, especially against Liverpool in the Champions League last season, I thought he was really, really impressive.
I agree, Dave.
I thought that he was one of the best players over two legs. I thought that he dominated Liverpool midfield, and his athleticism was just incredible. We really struggled with it. I think he's the type of player Arsenal needs because they give him that bit of grit and steel. You know, Arsenal are seen as a flair team, they're seen as a nice team, but they're not seen as a tough, solid team, hard to break down as such. Maybe Arteta will bring that, but both of them would be game changers. But if they both came, I'd be whipping Xhaka and I'd be putting Partey and I'd be playing Tobias, Partey and Our. I think that would be very, very strong trio midfield. But yeah, I remember looking back, but I know his stats aren't that good with goals and assists. Partey, I think, was it one assist, I think, last season or something like that. But I remember looking at him over the 2 legs against Liverpool, and I thought that he was the best player on the field. So if Arsenal got in, I think that would be a big, big plus for them.
Yeah, I think that was Arsenal's problem last year, was giving away goals. I mean, they were always able to score, but giving away goals, that's what made other teams get in the game with them so often. So I think Partey should be the highest on the list of priorities for Arsenal. I think he would be an absolute game changer for that midfield, and you guys would be.
You can see, yeah, for sure. I agree, but you can see that Arteta is like, he played with Ozil for years, and Ozil is now cast aside. He has to make that tough decision to get rid of him. You can see what he's in for. He wants to get rid of them flair players who are not carrying their weight as such when it comes to off the ball work rate. And I think that he's going to try to bring in more players who will work hard off the ball, not just play that flair, nice, skillful game. Arsenal really need players that are going to, track back at pace and go in hard and make it difficult on teams for them to break them down. And that's been their downfall really over the last few years. But
Agreed.
I think Arteta is changing that for sure. But it was interesting though. Aubameyang basically said that Arteta was the reason that he signed the contract. That's a massive, I suppose it's massive praise for Arteta. I'm sure that he will love that for his managerial career, to hear that basically because of him that Arsenal star players stayed on. But it's a great endorsement by him. But it shows too what Aubameyang thinks of him. And I think Arteta brings that level of experience that, and I suppose he's a winner. At Manchester City over the last few years, I know he's the assistant coach, but by all accounts, he helped develop Manchester City's style of play a lot. And I think players respect that. And I think that now he can be the reason that, players come to Liverpool because they want to work on the clock. And I think Arteta can have that same kind of pull for Arsenal. With all due respect to Unai Emery, I don't think he had that as such. I don't think many players across Europe were. He was kind of flat, he wasn't the most invigorating type of coach. And I think Arteta brings that level of authority that players want to work under. So I think Partey would be great, Our would be great, but if Partey came, I would definitely be taking out Xhaka. I think he's a decent player. I know that he's been playing a lot better, but for me, I think long term, if they want to be successful, I don't know, can he be in the 11?
I agree, and I think if you bring those two guys in, combined with the young talent that they have in their coach, they have a nice foundation right now. The future is definitely bright in Arsenal, and that's for damn sure. But we got a couple minutes left here, so I just want to close out with our match predictions here. Let's start with the guy behind enemy lines here. Mark, what do you think? What are you going with for a prediction on Monday?
Well, it's Liverpool at Anfield, so you can never be too confident. But I'm going to back my team. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal.
Make it 2-1. Yeah, another 2-1.
I sure as hell hope not. But all right, Dave, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I got 3-1 Liverpool. Liverpool haven't lost at Anfield since 2017, April 2017, and I don't think this Arsenal team is going to change that.
I like that here. Well, homie, what you got?
I'm going for 2-0. I think we're going to look to respect Arsenal. We're going to try and get the clean sheet. And that's why I'm saying it's going to be a similar game to Chelsea game. So I'm going for 2-0 win.
Andrew,
I'm going to go with 3-0. I think these players know that Arsenal outplayed them and won the past 2 times. So they're going to be out looking for some revenge. And I think I'm going to watch Sadio Mane because he's had a good matchup against Rob Holding for the past couple of games. So I'm really looking forward to that matchup. I think he gets the better of him in this one.
All right, I'm gonna go 2-1. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I have a lot of respect for Arsenal right now. I think these guys are gonna, come out with an edge. They want to show that these last 2 wins haven't been bullshit. But I've said it every single time this year. I'm gonna keep it going. Bobby Firmino is going to get a goddamn goal, and I'm going to get a goddamn Bobby Firmino celebration. I need it. But hey, that pretty much wraps up this episode. Mark and Dave, thanks so much for coming on, guys. Anything that you guys want to say to everyone else who's listening?
You go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm good. It's happy. Good to be here, and it's good to have a discussion. Hopefully we'll have a few more before the season's out, and hopefully we'll win number 20.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
This was fun. This was definitely fun. But all the listeners, thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button beneath you guys. We really appreciate all your support and your continued, listening and following us. Keep an eye out for our post game coming up on Tuesday. But otherwise, sorry, Mark, up the Reds. Let's go. Thanks, guys.
You guys.
Have a great weekend. All right,
guys. Thank you.